Good evening, I'm Jose Cardenas. Arizona expands the driver's license ban to include all immigrants granted deferred action from deportation. We'll talk to an attorney with the ACLU of Arizona about the policy change and find out about a campaign focused on informing consumers about the new health insurance available under the Affordable Care Act. Plus, we'll talk about Datos 2013, a report detailing the buying power of Latino consumers in Arizona. All this coming up next on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thank you for joining us. Arizona, which is one of only 2 states that deny driver's license to young undocumented immigrants allowed to work and stay under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, known as DACA, program, has expanded the ban to include any immigrant granted deferred action from deportation. Here with me now to talk more about this policy change is Kelly Flood, Senior Staff Attorney on the case for the ACLU of Arizona. Kelly, welcome back to Horizonte. The case that we referred to in that introduction is the one that's pending before Judge Campbell right now. And as I understand it, the governor's action was a response to the last ruling by Judge Campbell. So let's start with that. What did he say that the state was responding to?
Well, in the first hearing that we had in the case where he determined whether or not he was going to stop the law from going into effect, or excuse me, the policy, he noted to the state that the DACA recipients were similar to many other immigrant groups in the state of Arizona who received employment authorization documents known as EADs from the federal government. And in the past, any immigrant with an EAD had been given the opportunity to get a driver's license in the state of Arizona. So Judge Campbell said, why are you picking on just this one group who has an EAD? What makes them different from all of the other groups?
And this is in connection with your equal protection arguments.
Correct, yes.
And so it looks like you're treating similarly situated groups of people differently.
Exactly, right. And he pointed out that there were numerous other groups who get EADs who are in a sort of similar status to DACA recipients, such as crime victims and witnesses who are allowed to stay in the state for whatever period of time is necessary to conclude a case, and other immigrants who receive any sort of deferred status and are allowed to stay in the state and receive an EAD from the federal government. And they were already all getting licenses prior to the initial ban that only excluded DACA recipients.
And the judge's ruling was when? Several months ago, wasn't it?
Well, that was last year, that initial ruling. And then the state indicated in the hearing that occurred, from which the ruling resulted, that, well, we didn't realize we were giving licenses to all of these other groups, so we'll just go back and fix that. And at another hearing earlier this spring, the state announced, okay, we're going to change our policy and we'll announce it to everyone shortly, and we'll talk about how it will impact this case. And then last week, the state announced the policy.
So let's talk about that policy.
Yes.
Exactly what is the new policy of the state of Arizona as it relates to getting EADs, employment authorization documents, to immigrants?
Well, it doesn't impact who gets an EAD because that's determined by the federal government.
Right.
But what it impacts is who gets a driver's license in the state of Arizona. And the new policy from the state is that anyone with an immigration status designation A11, C14, and C33 is not going to will not be allowed to get a driver's license.
So you're going to have to translate a little bit. What is the common theme in those 3 categories?
The common theme is the word deferred. It's as if the state went through all of the immigration statuses that exist under the federal system and picked out any status that includes the word deferred in the description. And that's what they did.
For other than the children that we're talking about, the students who would have deferred status under DACA, and those are, as I remember, some of the criteria, under 16 when they arrived, and so on and so forth. What are the other categories of deferred action that are now impacted by the state's decision?
Well, folks with C14 designation are deferred status. They're deferred action as well. And there's a host of people who may qualify for and get C14 status. Widows who were married for less than 2 years to a U.S. citizen, orphans, crime victims, crime witnesses, and other people who, according to the federal government, are entitled to deferred status for any period of time be required under their circumstances. And then there's a sort of separate category, which is very interesting. A11 is deferred delayed departure, which currently only applies to Libyans. So that's a little bit strange, but.
And the state insisted that these changes wouldn't impact, in their view,
Right.
truly deserving people who needed to stay here, who needed a driver's license to get a job and so on and so forth. But that doesn't seem to be the case, at least not based on newspaper reports.
Right. As we saw on the front page of the Arizona Republic earlier, there are numerous crime victims, domestic violence victims, sex trafficking victims who are affected by this, because those are people who obtained their EADs as C-14 status, deferred action recipients. And those folks might qualify for, or some of them might qualify for other avenues, such as the Violence Against Women Act and some of the other potential immigration status adjustments. However, many of them currently have C-14. What we've learned from immigration lawyers and advocates in the state is C-14 is sort of a go-to status for many immigrants because it's faster, it's more efficient, and it's easier to obtain than some of the other statuses like VAWA, Violence Against Women Act status.
So it may be hurting people that the state perhaps didn't intend to harm, but isn't it an adequate response to the judge's point? I mean, we may be treating people poorly, but we're treating everybody poorly, and so doesn't that respond to the equal protection issue?
Well, we don't think it solves the problem, no. First, because it's clear that the state's new policy was just a reaction to a lawsuit. There was no reason for them to do this other than to respond to what we and the judge pointed out.
Now, why would the motive make any difference in terms of the judge's ruling?
Well, the motive matters in this case because we've alleged that the state's policy violates equal protection. And in order to survive an equal protection challenge, the government has to establish that it made its decision to change a policy or a rule based upon a rational basis, and in this case, rational basis plus. And that's what the judge determined the standard to be previously. And we don't believe that making a choice to change a policy simply to prevail in a lawsuit would satisfy the rational basis plus test.
Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough whether Judge Campbell agrees with you, but thanks for joining us on Horizonte to talk about it.
Thank you.
I think that the themes or topics that have been presented are, I think, things that people are thinking about in their minds, but where is the space to have those conversations, especially in a very, very public way and in a broad audience? And I think that's what Horizonte and Jose have done for our state, for our community, is to be able to create that space for the conversations that need to take place. So I congratulate Channel 8, I congratulate Jose Cardenas, I congratulate him on his 10th anniversary because he has been persistent on making sure that the voices from the Latino, immigrant rights, Hispanic community have been a part of broadcasting.
Enrollment begins October 1st in Arizona's expanded Medicaid program and the online insurance marketplace. Enroll America is an effort to enroll Arizonans into health insurance coverage under the Affordable Care Act. This nonprofit group is working with local health care and social service agencies to answer questions about the federal health care overhaul. Here with me now tonight is Patty Urias, the communications lead for Enroll America in Arizona. Patty, thanks for joining us on Horizonte. This is the big topic of the day, in part because of the budget battles in Washington, where the issue seems to be whether or not Obamacare, as it's referred to, will be funded. It looks like it will, and it'll go forward. What are you guys doing to try and make sure people get the advantages that are promised under the Affordable Care Act?
Well, what we're doing is we're mounting a grassroots effort. We are knocking on doors. We are meeting people where they meet, whether it be at farmers markets, college campuses, for example, at the U of A or at ASU, different places around Arizona to get in touch with people who may be uninsured, part of the 1 million people who are uninsured across Arizona that we need to reach, to let them know that even though you don't have insurance now, your options are now available to you online if you go through the marketplace, which is being run by the federal government here in Arizona. And what they can do is we can put them in touch with a good chunk of our role is primarily to educate and put people in touch with certified enrollment counselor, application counselors, certified application counselors, or navigators who can help them sort through what needs they have in terms of health insurance and navigate the system. If there are things they don't know or don't understand, or the questions they don't understand that they need to ask, that will help them choose a plan that will suit them and their families.
Well, I want to talk about some of the tools that I know you're using to do this, but give me a sense for the time periods. We keep hearing about October 1st. What happens on October 1st?
October 1st is the opening date. It is by no means a deadline at all. In fact, people who decide that they want to take a look into the marketplace, the open marketplace, have until December 15th to enroll in a plan if they want to be covered by the 1st of January. The marketplace itself will be open until March 31st. So October 1st is by no means a deadline. It is just the start of something that we're calling historic. And people who, for example, may have been turned down for insurance before, perhaps they've had cancer or another type of diagnosis. We have heard of one diagnosis of acne that prevented one person from getting coverage, prevented that one person from getting treatment for another disease. People who fall under that category will no longer be denied health coverage. They can explore new options under the marketplace.
So the real focus is those 1 million people who are uninsured.
Right.
What are you doing to reach out to them? And you talked about you going to places where people meet, but how do you get the word out?
What we do is we have volunteers, we have staff members who have organized in a very grassroots type of way to knock on those doors and hand people information, ask them if they're uninsured, and let them know the marketplace is opening up on October 1st. If you're not satisfied with the insurance coverage that you have now, this is a really good opportunity for you to take a look at the open marketplace and see if there's another type of plan that would suit your needs. Or maybe you haven't been able to get coverage, or maybe you didn't understand that you may be one of the 90% that could qualify for some type of subsidy or some type of tax benefit as a result of enrolling in the marketplace. So we're trying to be very, very basic with the information and let them know where they can go to explore these options.
And as I understand it, part of the promise of the Affordable Care Act is not simply that there will be insurance coverage, but that, as the title implies, it will be affordable. And do the materials that you're providing explain how all that works? Because it's somewhat complicated, isn't it? It's a function of premiums and tax credits and so forth. How do you explain all that?
Right. It is a lot to digest for a lot of people. There's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of misunderstandings. People don't really understand what does it mean? What is October 1st? What does this time frame mean? What do I do? How do I get there? So what we're trying to do is provide them with very, very basic information so that we can drive them to specific websites such as healthcare.gov and drive them to our website for the campaign, which is called getcoveredamerica.org. Those types of places where they can see, get a hands-on look as to what it's going to offer. There are also some demonstration videos that the Department of Health and Human Services has put out on their YouTube channel.
I've seen a couple of those, and it's like walking you through step by step how you apply, what are the kinds of questions, what the qualification criterion are, and so forth.
Right. We want to make sure that people understand it's not going to be very intimidating. It will be very, very simple. For example, someone who is looking for an airline flight or maybe a hotel room somewhere on one of the websites, one of the many websites that will do a search engine for you. In some respects, it's going to be as simple as that. And so we want people to know that even if you have coverage now, if it's not really quite meeting your needs, you can explore what new options are out there. If you want to take a look once the marketplace opens and gives you a better idea, a better perspective of the types of rates that you can expect to pay, what types of subsidies you may be eligible for, or what types of tax credits your family may qualify for.
Now, of what particular significance is all of this to the Latino community in Arizona?
Well, what we know from the statistics nationwide is that of the eligible uninsured across the country, 25% of those are Latino. Here in Arizona, we have far more than that. So of the 1 million uninsured in Arizona, it's 39% of the population. That's our estimate. And so we really do need to reach, in particular, young Latinos, maybe 18 to 35-year-olds who don't really know that there's an option that is coming their way.
And how are you doing that? What special outreach efforts are you making?
We're meeting with a lot of our partners in the community. We are meeting with healthcare organizations that are also familiar with this population. We are talking with media outlets. We are out and about in the community trying to get to people where they meet. Farmers markets, like I was mentioning, places where people shop, places where people gather, to get them this information. We do have
and
materials.
we did put the website and the phone number on the screen. Just one last question. What about predominantly Spanish-speaking people who might be eligible for this? What are you doing for them?
We have volunteers who do speak Spanish for people who are more comfortable speaking Spanish. We also do have materials that are available in Spanish. And we are doing a lot of outreach efforts across the country with community groups that reach out to the Latino community.
Well, this is a very important subject. I'm sure there's a lot more work to be done, but thank you so much, Patty, for joining us
Thank you for
to
having
talk
us.
about Enroll America.
Thank you.
And your mom talked about the fact that people had low expectations of you when we were off camera. You were saying the same thing. How does that serve as motivation for you to accomplish what you have?
I think it was a huge motivation for me just to keep going forward because I knew they didn't expect much from me. Even though I was undefeated wrestling in the national finals, most people thought I was going to lose. And so no one really expected me to come out as a national championship. A kid with one leg, there's no way he's going to do it. And for me, I felt like being on that stage, God put me there to show people that anything was possible, that there's no handicap, there's nothing that you can't overcome in your life. And just because there's a lot of people who have that negativity who might try to bring you down, it doesn't have to bring you down. And I felt like I was wrestling for more than just a trophy out there that night. I was wrestling for my family, for all those people watching, to show them, you can go after your dreams and you can get them.
While combing through newspaper archives, author Rudy Villarreal found many Arizona Hispanics served as pilots, bombardiers, navigators, gunners, flight engineers, and radio operators. For years, Villarreal traced the steps of these men and their families by copying pictures, sending out questionnaires, and learning more about World War II in the process. He also had to compile pictures and information from war archives from veterans and their families. Many of these Arizona Hispanics served bravely on the ground and sea during World War II. Villarreal wants his book to serve as a tribute and acknowledge the Hispanics from Arizona who answered their call to duty.
According to the latest edition of Datos, the state of Arizona's Hispanic market, about 1/3 of the state's more than 67,000 Hispanic-owned businesses were started by immigrants. The report also concludes that statewide, Latino consumers spend more than $43.3 billion a year on goods and services. Here with me to talk more about the Datos 2013 report are Monica Villalobos, Vice President of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Also here is Ed Escobedo, a board member with the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you both for joining us on Horizonte. We were talking a little bit before the show started about how thick the information is this year, at least it seemed to me. Monica, let's start first with talking about how this particular report was prepared and how it might differ from what we've seen in the past.
Sure. It's thicker because there's a great story to tell. And the way that we put this together, it's evolved in 17 years. It started as an academic reference. Now it's more of a business tool. What we do is put together a group of subject matter experts from different fields, healthcare, retail, etc. And we're able to really compile the most comprehensive data in the marketplace and the most recent data as well. So that's one of the things that's different. Also, we're diving deeper in particular areas and categories. And this year, at the end, we've included a chapter on segmentation and acculturation. So it's not just, here's all this information, what do I do with it? Now we're sort of giving you that next actionable step.
Ed, Monica referred to this as a tool.
Yeah.
You're in business, you work for the University of Phoenix. In what way is it a tool that's of use to the business community?
Well, we have, at the University of Phoenix, we have a national strategy to reach the Latino market. We put a great deal of effort and resources into meeting the needs of of the market nationally. As the report shows, there are 53 million Hispanics across the country and 2 million in the state. But one of the things that we've also used the report as a tool to inform our efforts is meeting the needs of small business owners. There are 63,000 or so Hispanic businesses starting up in the state. And we are looking at using the report and the insights from the report to help us build curriculum, not necessarily always around degrees and academic content, but also non-degree content, certificates, things that meet the needs of the small business owners in the state. And the DACOS report is a way to help us get those insights and help us sort of build a strategy that meets the needs of the market.
Monica, the report is itself just chock full of information, lots of charts and graphs. So it's almost a shame to just pick a few, but I do want to give people a sense for what's in here. And we've got a series. I want to go through 3 of them. The first one has to do with the percentage of the U.S. population that Hispanics represent, and we've got up on the screen now. It's 1/3 of the total U.S. population by 2060, and it's already a very significant number.
Yes, it is, and I think it's just indicative of what's already happening in our state. It's already 1/3. Hispanics are already 1/3 of the state of Arizona, and it really speaks again to not just minority-majority cities or minority-majority states, but a minority-majority country ultimately. And when you look at the economic growth and where that's going to come from, it's going to come from the Hispanic community.
Now, the next chart we have has to do with a common perception that the growth in the Hispanic population in Arizona and elsewhere comes predominantly from immigration, but that's really not the case.
There are actually more U.S.-born Hispanics now. That was the case years ago, where the balance was more foreign-born Hispanics in the U.S. Now it's more kind of a 60-40 U.S.-born Hispanics.
And what does that mean for the business community? What's the impact?
From a consumer standpoint, I always like to say if you are in business in the state of Arizona, you are a Hispanic business, whether you know it or not, simply by the demographics. Your consumers are Hispanic, your employee base is mostly Hispanic, and now you've got this growing vendor base for corporations, and they're entering the supply chain.
And I would assume one other difference is that Hispanics born in the United States are more likely to be bilingual and later in subsequent generations predominantly English speakers.
I think that's true. I think they're comfortable in both languages at different levels, but it's less an issue of language and more an issue of acculturation, where the formative years were spent. Those kinds of things certainly make them more acculturated. It's not just a language issue anymore.
And our last chart has to do with something that's of great importance, and both in your report and basically everything else we see about economic growth, and that's education. And in Arizona, we're already there in the K-12 system in terms of the number of students who are minority students.
Yes, in 2012 we graduated more Hispanic seniors than any other group, and that obviously has implications for our college system as well.
And they're now the majority in the K-12 system.
Correct.
And so given the concerns about the graduation rate, you indicated that we graduated more, but there's still concerns that the gap between Hispanics and non-Hispanics is widening. What impact does that have on business?
Do you mean the Hispanic dropout rate is actually down 15%? It's lower than it's ever been. I think we've got a more talented pool. We have more students going into colleges as well. We know that minority business owners, particularly Hispanic business owners, are 50% more likely to have a college degree. So from the K-12, we see where our business owners are coming from, and we see where our talent pool for an employee base is coming from as well.
And Ed, that's probably a good question for you as well, given the business you're in, the education business. What do these numbers mean for you?
Well, I think, as I said, they're informing our strategy. I think the other thing I would say is one of the things we look for is industry-specific competencies. And so, just as an example of the 67,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in the state, some of them might be retail businesses. And so we have a relationship with the National Retail Federation. And what we're doing is we're working with them in their workforce development team to build programs specifically that are geared to retail business owners in the state. And so that makes up a portion of the mix of Hispanic businesses in the state. And again, it's helping us sort of with industry skills, and we're bringing certificates, we're bringing non-degree content, that professional development and leadership development skills.
We're almost out of time. Just one last question has to do with the fact that a third of those businesses are owned by Latinas. What difference does that make to the businesses who get this report?
Well, and I think we can talk about that. I think one of the things that we reflect on as a board is it's such an important and growing segment of our small business community, and we definitely see the need for bringing skills to the Latina community. We do that through our workforce development efforts out of the board. We have workshops that we sponsor that are specifically geared to building up mentorship and support for that segment of the population.
Well, thank you both for joining us on Horizonte. Congratulations on another great report. It just keeps getting better and better, and I'm sure we'll have you back next year to talk about next year's report. In the meantime, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's our show for tonight. From all of us here at Horizonte, I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.